You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Vegas After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Vegas After Show.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, AfterBuzzers. Biggest for doing. This evening, we are doing 14th episode of the first season of CBS's Vegas, the Third Man. A lot is going on as the season progresses, guys. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey. And if you've been watching, which I think that you have been watching, you know who these two intelligent, handsome gentlemen are sitting across from me. Introduce yourselves, guys.
The Nick Perdue.
The Bamm Ericsen.
You're not the Bamm Ericsen. You're Bamm Ericsen. He's saying his Twitter handle like a fool.
Bamm Ericsen.
Thank you. See, the fans appreciate that more because you're branded, bro.
You know.
You're Bam. Bam, 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 bam.
Well, thank you so much.
Bam. Okay, so getting right into this episode because a lot happened in this episode, and we want to try to get as many of the details as possible before summer. Because there were so many things that happened. It was like one of those kind of episodes. It seems like as the season progresses,
they're packing a lot in.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of plot points are going on, a lot of things, and it's like the stakes are being consistently raised, which is really good because we were kind of skittish
a little bit
when the season started. Like, as far as
it kind of took a little.
Yeah, it was like we were on the runway for a little bit, and but they, you know, you have to expect this from Nicholas Pileggi and Greg Walker, like coming with a show that's very they have to build it. You know, it's not a film, so they have to build the show, and you know they're setting the foundation for everything. And now we've gotten to a point where you're really enthralled into what's going on, and want to, you know, like they're being consistent now. Like, I mean, they've been consistent, but what I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying. They've built to the point where now it's like, wow, the stakes are high. Yeah.
And so, with this being episode 14, there's only 7 episodes left.
Right.
So I think there's a lot that's gonna happen in these 7 episodes.
Well, these 7 episodes have to be. I mean, it's good. The show is good. So let's talk about what's so good about the show. Starting with, with this episode. Exactly, episode 14. Jack. Jack shows up to the crime scene. Yeah. Now we've got this drug addict and Rizzo laying sprawled out in this hotel. It was a hotel or a motel room, right?
Something like that. It was more like a motel.
It was more like a motel. And
Motel 6.
Right. And you've got Lamb. Officer Lamb, Ralph, you got Ralph and the ADA there investigating what's going on. You know, the thing to me, they kept talking about the whole, I heard everything over the radio. I was waiting for one of them to say, really? Well, it didn't go on the radio until blah, blah, blah. So how did you possibly hear about it to go tell Mia? Because Jack went to go tell Mia that he heard over the radio.
It's the first place he went.
That's the first place he went.
Yeah.
But then he told his brother that he came straight over, and then once he said, well, I think it should be you who should tell Mia. He said, I already told Mia. And then Ralph was like, well, I thought you said that you came straight here.
Exactly. So he's...
What a tangled web we weave.
Well, the hard thing about this for Jack is that Jack is a straight shooter. No pun intended. This guy, I mean, really, he's not a guy who delves into secrets and to an underground... Like, he doesn't live in an underground, deceptive kind of... world. That's not his circle. That's not his universe. So to see how he's going to navigate this whole thing is really going to be interesting where he goes with this. So he's lied to his girlfriend about killing her dad, which Go ahead, Bamm. What are you gonna say about that?
I don't even think he really thought about it long enough before he even lied. When she said, you know, who did it? He didn't blink an eye. He didn't even take 2 seconds to think, okay, should I not? He just said, I don't know, heard it on the news.
I think maybe he was waiting to see how she would respond when he went to go tell her that the dad was dead. It was kind of one of those, let me play it by ear, see how this thing kind of goes.
How
else would
she respond? I mean, she wasn't gonna fall out and say no.
No, but I'm exactly.
Yeah.
But you don't know how somebody's gonna react when you tell them a parent is passed or is dead or whatever. Blah blah blah. Go ahead, Nick.
But they had a special dynamic because especially leading up to Rizzo's death is that they weren't really seeing eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
So she could have held a grudge because she knows that her father wasn't a upstanding citizen, so she kind of knew that like this is part of that life, you know what I mean? And then so at the end of the day this is still her father, but like so they didn't see eye to eye, and so she was always kind of butting heads with her father, especially with this whole Jack situation. So she could have gone either way.
Well, maybe that's what he was gonna see, how she was gonna respond. I think that even though she really wants to know, I think it's natural to want to know. At the same time, she had to expect this. Her dad was one of the biggest douchebags of all time, and he was even a douchebag for a mobster. Like, even for a mobster, he was like dirty. For a mobster, he was dirty.
But even though her dad was who he was, you never expect that someone's gonna die.
Right.
That's true.
Even when your kid or somebody's on drugs and they're living a life, when you get that call, you just Yeah,
well, and because that goes back to at the end of the day, like this is still your father, this is still your relative, this is still your blood, like this is your first line, this is it's like there's that connection,
right?
So
I mean, for me personally, I think that it's good writing. It helps keep the story going, keeps the juices going as far as being involved and interested in the show, because the show is good and like we just mentioned earlier, it's escalating. But to me, it's not consistent with his character and the character that's been developed with Jason O'Mara playing this character. That to me, this guy would have told her.
Well,
I would disagree on this one.
Go ahead.
Obviously, it makes good writing because then if he would admit what happened, it would have taken a different turn. I think it was great because now you're going to see a side of him. He's torn. He's mixed up into this. He already has he has a when two people come together, they have an connection. Not the word I'm looking for. It'll hit me, but. He and Savino now had made a pact because of what happened.
Right.
So he's now on both sides of the fence.
Right. Well, they have interest. Like, he figured it out. He put two and two together. And to me, when he confronted Savino about it, he should have known then. Now, he said, keep your head on a swivel. Okay, well, if somebody comes to you and says, keep your head on a swivel, dude, what does that mean, bro?
Right. Hey, bro.
Like, bro, come on, bro. He said, keep your head on a swivel, bruh. He's letting you know the dude is coming after you.
Yeah.
Like,
bruh.
He said it for a reason. It was, he should have figured all this out earlier. Maybe that's because he's not a city slicker. He's not, he's a country boy and he's just.
But,
he's really green.
Here's the thing, though. I do believe that now he's a changed man. Because, after going through what he went through, literally like torture. This is like POW type torture that he went through.
Right.
And so like in his mind, he's like, I'm going to die. Because I'm pretty sure like that went through his mind at least once,
right.
During this whole ordeal. And then now he's like, okay, I got a second lease on life. Let me, change the way I do things a little bit.
Right.
So, now he's faced with this. Should I tell her? Or should I, kind of cover it up? And so he went with the cover it up route.
I mean, he has to know that how good of his brother, or good of an investigator his brother is. They're going to get down to the bottom of what happened.
Eventually.
Eventually.
But if he keeps throwing wrenches in there, then, because he's putting up like baby roadblocks along the way to kind of,
And then I also think that by him revealing this information, he can lose the most important person to him, which is his girlfriend.
That's true.
So because now he's in love now he has to.
And he confessed it to daddy.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I think that she would have loved him regardless. I think she would have a hard time with it, but I think she would eventually get over it because these guys aren't mobsters. They wouldn't go after Rizzo and shoot him in cold blood, instigate any kind of problem. They've already laid a foundation of being square. They're square guys. And Mia would know that. She would get over the grief in time, and she would know. She knows the character of her father, for one. She knows the character of Jack, which is part of the reason why she fell in love with him. So she,
it would make sense that it was in self-defense of what happened.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It makes it. I mean, and Mia is a smart girl. She's incredibly intelligent. I mean, just look at the deal that she made to run the casino, to be the director of casino operations for the Savoy now, and she's more than qualified to do it on every level, especially since she protects the money already.
That's a great point. So I'm gonna stop right there.
So I just think that was part of my whole thing with he should have just told the truth. She would have gotten over it eventually, but she knows that her dad is a scumbag. That's why she went off on him. She's had a horrible life. She's known him her whole life, so she knows what kind of guy he is. Yeah. But it does make for good writing for the show. Yeah. So I'm conflicted with that, but I can live with it. I don't have a problem, Nicholas and Greg. Thumb up. I give you a thumb sideways and a thumb up. So that's not 2 thumbs up, but it's a thumb up. Anyway.
Well, just to piggy off the whole thumbs up, giving your comments and rating, I think this would be the good opportunity to now go into iTunes.
Yeah. And rate. I thought you were doing it right now.
No, I was leading into it so that you can now take over.
I thought you were doing it. Wow.
What was that, Fonz? You're going.
Yeah. So yeah, go on iTunes, you guys. Make sure you comment, rate, subscribe. If you don't have an iTunes account, it's easy, it's simple, it's free. You don't even need a Mac. You can do it with your PC. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, everybody. Have them go on and rate the Vegas podcast and all of your other Vegas AfterBuzz shows as well.
He said, you don't even need a Mac. You can use your PC.
No, because some people don't know.
What are you saying?
Some people don't know.
Some people don't know what?
Because some people think that iTunes is straight Apple.
So
and
that you need a Mac.
Why, you need a Mac. So you need to clarify, and I clarified.
Oh, okay.
And so for you...
And if you have a PC, it's quite all right. So I had to be PC by endorsing PCs.
Right, because you have a Mac.
I have a Mac and a PC. I have both.
No.
Because I use them for different things, obviously. But anyway, so Jack breaks the news to Mia. Mia wants to know. And she has that thing where she's going to be plagued for a while because of that last conversation she had with her father. Yeah. They weren't at peace in their relationship, over her relationship with Jack. So, I mean,
the deputy.
He's going to have, I can understand his fear of winning and lose. She's a beautiful, smart girl. And they definitely have a connection, and they finally, he's admitted to the father, like, look, I love your daughter, blah blah blah. So I can understand his reluctance to want to tell her. It's natural. It's natural to not want to tell her, but I think he is going to such extremes and such lengths. It's like, this shows you, like, I was gonna say one little lie, but it's not a little lie. It's a big lie, and he has to go to great extremes to cover this up now.
And he thinks that one lie would most people don't think about. When they're lying, they tell one lie, and then other stuff starts to surface. So then you just have to continue lying.
Right. You got to remember it.
I think he did.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think he thought about that. He thought, okay, well, I heard about it in the car. I don't know. And then once his brother started to question, then he had to go more into it. And then again, as stuff started to surface, and then the print was on the gun, then he didn't think about all that.
Right. Because it's like when you're telling a lie, you're basically like rewriting history. So everything else has to be consistent in that universe. And he's not a liar. This guy is just he's a regular square Joe. So now you have this, he has to recreate everything, and he doesn't live like
the little,
Exactly. He has to, all the little details, and then you have a brother who pays attention to all the details, because that's what he does for a living.
And the son, too.
And the son. The son is
getting better.
The son is getting better. Let's talk about Dixon for a minute. Dixon Lamb. So Dixon, we catch Dixon out on what's up, Fremont Street, and
flirting with the
honeys. It was like 4 of them. He had
internationally known Dixon Lamb.
Internationally known Dixon Lamb. And this dude is out there on Fremont Street macking 4. Well, he's talking to one, but he was duty. He was macking all of them.
Pretty much.
Because one of them was the one he was interested in, but all 3 or 4 of them were interested in him. He was asking her room number and all that. I mean, I really felt like I was in Vegas. Because that's what happens in Vegas. In fact, Dixon Lamb is probably the guy who set up all the social of how people walk up and down the street. Oh, it's okay to drink your liquor up and down the street. Because, you know, you can drink. If you guys don't know this, people can drink alcohol openly in public in Vegas. This is for the people who haven't been to Vegas. If anybody,
there's only 2.
See, Bamm didn't know that.
2 cities. It's Vegas and New Orleans, and it's the Strip and Bourbon Street where you can walk with open container.
And
fun fact, huh?
Sure.
No, that doesn't count. Nick's not gonna cheat us out of a fun fact for later. Go over that one.
You just kind of let it into that.
Right, that's true.
One of the things that I like about Dixon's character is he's a young boy who's having the best of both worlds.
Right.
He's a cop. He has his dad, his uncle, but that's all at the same time. He's not losing sight of the fact that he is a young boy. A young man, and that he's gonna do what he wants to do, and that's chase girls. And so I like how he's maturing as a cop, but there's still that side of him where he's gonna chase some ass.
Right. Yeah. And
as he should.
And conquer it. And the thing about it is, it's good that he's solving cases that aren't whodunits, but there's other circumstances involved that are really pretty serious, and they're showing that he has chops as an investigator. I really liked how it was funny how someone stole a black Corvette? It was a Thunderbird. It was a Thunderbird. It was a black Thunderbird rolling down, and he hears the call while he's talking to the girls over the radio. And the car comes turning the corner and zooming right by him. He gets a show off with the girls, hop in the car, right? And, he catches the guy.
Lights and sirens.
Exactly. Catches the guy. Turns out, of course, Dixon knows the guy.
His homeboy.
And it makes sense because Dixon was probably kind of popular. Yeah. He gets all the girls. He knows this guy, Pete. And that was really funny. He's like, Pete? Dixon? That was kind of funny seeing. Of course he knows this guy. They went to high school together or whatever, right? So he catches up with his friend and he's investigating you dude, what are you doing? Stealing cars. So, his friend explains, and of course he empathizes because the guy is a good stand-up guy, naturally. He's really stuck between a rock and a hard place of trying to get custody of his daughter. So that was kind of a nice little touching. You don't see that too often, where the dad is pursuing custody and going to great lengths.
Yeah, exactly. Most times it's the other way around. That you give him child support,
right?
Take the little girl,
right? exactly. So you saw that. I thought that was great. I thought they showed a good thing that a father was actually a good father, even though he was going about it in the wrong way. He's a young man as well, and sometimes young people make bad choices for good reasons. They make bad choices for good reasons, and that was one of those types of situations. And Dixon reached out to help him, and they had the 1960 Fast and Furious situation where they're gonna race some cars. Fast 1960. It was just one of those things where he's in the car and you see the steering wheel. Well, let me hear it. I'm skipping over something. Dixon is going to go undercover. He knows nothing about vehicles.
Which his dad called him out about. He was like, where's the fuel line?
Right.
Can you even change it? Can you even change oil?
Right. Where's the carburetor? Where's the alternator? He knows nothing about vehicles, yet he's going to go undercover as a mechanic. Which is really funny. But he said, I just have to be on the scene. I'm just going to be, drive him out there while he goes and races, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't really one of those situations where I feel like he had to be tested. But, of course, a dad being a dad is going to say, I don't know. He doesn't know what situation he's walking into. And he's like, if this is what you're supposed to be undercover,
he wants to be prepared.
You better know what you're supposed to know. Because if you get busted out, next thing you know, somebody could be pulling a gun on you or whatever. Then he's going to go and have to, rescue him. He doesn't know. Of course, he's a dad and he's being protective. So.
And I like when he called him Hot Rod. He's like, all right, Hot Rod.
Right. It was really funny. So when they go in the first, what was that? They were going on the first round of questioning. They were doing an investigation. He was going to the garage.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he was going to the garage after the accident.
Yeah.
So Pete, he goes undercover with Pete. Pete loses control of the car.
Almost kills himself.
Almost kills himself in this vehicle. And now they have to investigate why his vehicle was tampered with, on top of this whole car stealing ring that he caught his friend
Chap.
Chap. We don't fix cars, but you sell them. So what?
We steal them.
We steal them. So
What do you need?
what you need? So he goes over there and his dad says, "You know what? I'll go with you." So what's really funny is while he's doing some investigating,
Some actual police work.
for actual police work,
Bona fide police work.
bona fide police action. Ralph is getting the girl's number, getting the girl's number that was the actual, like, I think the receptionist, the secretary at the mechanic shop, right?
Yeah.
She was just holding a clipboard.
Holding the clipboard.
Just looking pretty.
Right.
That's all she.
And he found out a lot of information. One thing that I do like was how when Dixon was interrogating or was questioning the mechanic, what was his name, Eric or something like that? I can't remember what his name was.
No, it wasn't Tommy.
No, it wasn't Tommy.
Tommy. Bobby? Was it Bobby?
I'm not sure. I think it was Eric. I'm not sure. But he was the mechanic they ended up catching later.
Yeah.
He's questioning him, and then Ralph stops him because he was about to give away or talk too much or ask the wrong questions that would let them know that
They're on to you. We're on to you.
Or they know some stuff. They don't know that we know that they're on to.
They don't know that we know that they know that we know.
Exactly.
That they know.
But that's the situation that it would have been. So he cuts him off. He says, "Look, I got this information from the sweetie. He got a couple numbers." And that's one of those situations where you're like, "Oh, this is where Dixon gets it from." Right?
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Doesn't fall far from the tree. Now,
That's my boy.
Jumping from that situation, and you see Dixon's face when you looked at him. He's looking at him like really?
Come
like,
on,
wow.
Dad.
Like really? This is my turn. This is my turn. Like that should have been me. But what's funny is when let's go back, cut to the office, and the ADA is there, and Dixon's like, "Well, I found this out when you were talking to your friend over there," and the ADA has this look on her face like, and then Ralph is like, "Okay, time to go." That was really funny.
I thought so too.
Yeah, that was a really funny.
Yeah, that was a nice little exchange.
Yeah, it was. So, let's talk about Savino really quickly before we conclude with the whole Dixon situation. So, Savino is losing performers. We got Frankie Fontaine, who's a big time, I guess he's supposed to be like Frankie Avalon or whatever. You got Frankie Fontaine, who is like this young, hip. He's like the Justin Bieber of 1960.
No, I wouldn't say Justin Bieber.
I mean, he's just a hot pop type of guy at that time, and he's performing in Vegas. No, he wasn't there wasn't no Justin Biebers of any time except for now.
Yeah. I was thinking more like
because he wasn't the Beatles. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say something like a young Sinatra.
Yeah, he kind of had that vibe. He was kind of like a.
Was that Dean Martin? Was that?
But a young like young 20s, early 20s, older teens. I think it was yucky early 20s. But anyway, some guy named Tommy Stone is over here from the Hacienda is stealing performers. He stole like 2 or 3 performers. And it was like
a week too. Just
you're right.
quick,
You're right. And the funny thing was, it was like they would have preferred to perform at the Savoy because it was a nicer hotel. However, dude was doubling their pay.
At this dump down the street called the Hacienda.
Dump down the street called the Hacienda. So, he could, I was going to say chickless. Savino walks into the hotel and he asks his boy, he's like, dude.
How come there's no music?
Where's the music? There's no music. He's like, Hacienda. They're gone.
Piano player walked out during lunch.
Exactly. So, and that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
Dude takes off.
Yeah.
So, he decides to have a meeting with this guy in the alley.
Yeah, garbage cans and everything.
Garbage cans. This is a young kid. He just reminds me of like a 1960s promoter from Supper Club or Playhouse or something like that.
Tommy Mottola.
Young Tommy Mottola. All right, so he calls him. He has him in the alley.
Movers and shakers.
And he realizes by talking, it was Savino. Vincent realizes by talking to this kid that this kid is really savvy.
Yeah.
And
smart kid.
it seemed like he was going to get offed, or at least get beat up,
or just one to the kneecap. Or
something. Like, stop stealing my guys. You know, we need to make music happen over here. I need entertainment at the Savoy to make it go. And you're stealing people and taking them to the Hacienda. This is no bueno, bro. Like, what do you think you're doing? It's not going to go down like that. I cannot let that fly. So.
That's that I don't like.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what does he do, Bamm?
You threw me off.
What did Vincent do to solve the situation with this guy, Tommy Stone?
Oh, he offered him a job, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he offered him the
musical
director of entertainment. Entertainment services director of entertainment.
One of those titles.
Something like that. Yeah. So he, the kid was smart and said, look, I look up to you.
Yeah.
Or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think he was trying to get in before.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like one of those situations where, sorry, we don't have anything. So he proved himself by taking
because he needed to get his attention. So I think that's really
that was his goal.
Was. And I mean, he had a resume because he worked for Bugsy Siegel. He said, right, at the other hotel, right, Bugsy on.
Well, then he went to Hollywood. He learned some things in Hollywood about he was signing the talent to him as a manager, and not to the venue. So wherever he went, that's where they would have to go. And he was obviously very savvy and creative in creating how he was setting up his contracts and able to shift and have the power to himself for his entertainers, which is cool because I'm gonna really love to see this kid on future episodes because I really think he's gonna liven up the place. I hope that the Vegas writers actually keep him around and
him to a couple more episodes.
Right. Yeah. Put him in there and actually integrate him more into some storylines because a lot of drama has happened in the past with entertainers and entertainment.
And we have seen a lot
Vegas.
We've seen tidbits of like music. Like 2 weeks ago we saw with the singing group. So it'd be refreshing to hear some sounds.
Yeah, exactly. The Teen-tastics, Diane Desmond. So we've incorporated some entertainment flow.
Yeah, and we've also incorporated more on our www.afterbuzztv.com website. And so with that being said, we have a AfterBuzz TV store. So when you go to our website, www.afterbuzztv.com, on the left-hand side, there is the AfterBuzz TV. There's AfterBuzz TV store where you guys can purchase merchandise, such as these great mugs that you guys always leave comments about. Where can I get a mug? Where can I get a mug? Where is it at? I want one. And so when you go to the website, there's a couple sections. There's men's clothing. There's men's clothing and female clothes. There's ladies' clothing and apparel. There's baby clothes, and there is another section for cupware. And so we have different kind of mugs, and we have water bottles and all kind of great things. So make sure you go to our website and click on the AfterBuzz TV store for merchandise.
Sweet.
Shipping and handling not included. That's the.
Oh my goodness. Yo, if you guys want to call in 424-256-1729, you guys have any comments or any questions regarding the show, want to, add your 2 cents or whatever, feel more than welcome to do so. We welcome it. 424-256-1729, 424-256-1729.
What's that number again? 424-256-1729.
We need to make a jingle out of that.
We do.
Anyway, we'll figure that out probably before the season's over. But let's talk about Savino. Savino gets called into the office.
Well, the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office by Catherine.
Yeah.
ADA.
Yeah.
And she's over here slanging around her.
She got gangsta.
Yo,
Gangsta.
She really has it in for this dude.
Yeah, she doesn't like him at all.
Yeah, she consistently mentioned throughout the episode that she wanted to
pin him on something.
Question him and this, and Jack was trying to divert it, but he's the biggest gangster in town as far as they're concerned, so there's no way they're going to be able to divert their attention away from Savino when somebody from his camp, his boss, just got killed, and she was the one that knew the whole situation because the wife, Savino's wife, was her informant. Informer, going down. Remember that?
No, I couldn't Picture, maybe the pitch or something.
It was. I did. That was a horrible. Yeah, it was.
I was bad too, though. So.
Yeah,
so I don't say.
All right, so yeah, we'll stop doing that. Shut up. That was funny. Okay, so she actually threatens Savino, and she's like, "Look, I will." I mean, well, she didn't say she would, but she inferred.
Chicago will find out.
Chicago wouldn't. What do you think Chicago would think about your wife being an informant?
To me.
So he's like, you won't do that. You wouldn't order my kids. You wouldn't do that.
And she's like, the hell I will.
Don't believe
I'm not
me,
sure.
just watch.
Well, he doesn't believe she will, but I'm not sure she would.
You never know.
If she is quick to pull that pistol out in the front seat like she did 2 weeks ago, she'll do it.
But that's for him. See, that's different. Having the gun on him and then getting her killed, knowing she's gonna get killed, is completely different. Because now you're in danger. I mean, she's gonna get whacked. She will get whacked. That endangers the kids. You know, that's a whole different kind of conundrum. That just will show how cold of a beast she really is, though. If she would do something like that, like, you know, I know she would, you know, pop a cap in Savino in a second, but the family, that's a little different. I'm not sure. What do you think? You think Catherine is that cold-blooded, Nick?
Well, you know,
that's a little cold-blooded. I don't think she would do it.
Honestly, I think that if she does it, she's doing it to really kind of, you know, prove a point. And she's doing it to say, like, you know, you have no idea what I'm capable of.
Right.
You know, because
you didn't think I was gonna pull that little pea shooter out on you, did you?
Yeah. So you know, because I feel that Savino still kind of feels that this is his town. He runs the town like, yeah, the police are here just to police the city. Right. But you know, I got the drop on the police and the ADA and the DA. Well, because he has the DA, you know, in his pocket. So the ADA is like, you know, you the assistant. So he still feels that he has a little, you know. Right. So, and in fact, like that little, you know, relationship that he has with the DA may come into play because we haven't seen the DA in a little while. So,
well, he's gonna have to come back around. But the problem with that is what's good for Catherine is that she works very, very closely, and she has a tight-knit relationship with the sheriff.
Yeah. She's doing all the legwork.
Exactly. And everything that she does is aligned with the law and finding out what she's supposed to find out. Anything that the DA would do to obstruct that would be obvious. He would be playing himself, and he would be exposing himself.
And maybe that's why she is
so ballsy.
Yeah.
And he's not around that much either. Yeah.
He's off on the golf course.
Yeah, he shows up every once in a while.
But you know, but also dealing with someone like Savino, you have to bring it. You can't come in there like a punk.
That's true. So, because like she really goes toe to toe, you know, and so like she's really kind of, you know, beating her chest as he's beating his chest too. But she's like, okay, like if you want to, you know, do this, then step in the ring and let's do it. You know, like I have no problem playing dirty.
Toe to toe, blow for blow, like whoa. Exactly.
Was that a rap song?
Was it?
I don't know. Was it?
I don't know, but it rhymed.
It was Gorilla's
blow for blow.
Toe to toe, blow for blow, like whoa.
Whoa.
Remember that song?
Like whoa, like Black. Yeah, I remember that song.
Was it Black Rob?
That's where I thought
Black Tie. Was
Black Rob?
Gorilla's O.
It was something.
Wasn't it Gorilla's O?
I thought it was Black Rob.
Black Zoe.
You remember?
It's Black Rob.
Yeah,
it's Black Rob.
I just remember that. And
thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I just remember that part of Shaft.
He said it's a Black Rob.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve's like, I remember his name was Rob and he was black.
All right. And if you don't, you know,
his name was Black Rob. That was his stage name.
Steve is our local, like, you know, hip hop aficionado that will make sure we get the names right.
Yeah, you mean Steve's favorite song is what's that? All black. I mean, all gold.
Gold all in my watch.
Trinidad
Don't believe me, just watch.
That song, nothing.
Anyway, that has nothing to do with Vegas unless you're popping bottles in Vegas. You know what's funny? He said something to Savino said something to
Ricky,
to the
kid Fontaine about come on over, we'll pop a bottle. I'm like, wow, they're popping bottles in 1960.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always popped bottles since there's been champagne, but if they use that term
Popping bottles.
It was a little funny.
Yeah.
Pop a bottle, kick back.
Yeah. You know.
Kind of funny.
But there's a lot of things that rappers, you know, take from the old days and they make it
They try
current.
to be
Just like what Jay-Z and Kanye did with In Paris.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Otis.
Right. So let's get back to Dixon. Let's get back to Dixon in this case that he's trying to solve. So he goes with his dad to Pete's estranged wife's house to see Pete's estranged wife and the kid to question them. And I guess she has this new boyfriend or whatever that's there.
Prior to that, he went. Where did he go? He went to and found the divorce papers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So was that Pete's house?
Was it at Pete's house
Yeah.
that they found the divorce papers?
I think
Or
right.
they
it
saw
was-
the divorce papers?
Well, no, he took him to the. So he saw him and picked him up.
Okay.
Well, because the house was empty, and so Pete was in the hospital, so it was probably Pete's house that he went to.
Got you. Well, they get there, and this boyfriend, this shady-looking boyfriend, is there. I mean, he is really shifty-looking. This guy. I mean,
Slippery too.
I don't know.
Slippery.
It was so obvious. I mean, it was really fun. So they're questioning.
The girl.
Well, actually, Dixon is questioning the estranged wife,
Strange vibe. Yeah.
and the boyfriend is outside. Like, we gotta
Packing.
he's like, we gotta get the hell out of here.
Get out and die.
Right, because he's strapping up, you know, the bicycle to the hood of the car and the station wagon and loading up. And, you know, Ralph goes out there to question him, and he's like, where you going? He's like, California. You know, he's getting away. So he's got a job in Santa Barbara, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Oil rig.
Hey guys, guess what?
What up?
Niggas put me through this shit. Like, whoa. So I'ma go toe to toe, blow for blow, like,
Whoa, that's it. That's the song right there.
There you go.
I tried to start it right on the line, but I think I was one line before that. My bad.
I don't know if you. I was like,
Yo, if Black Rob, you owe us a percentage if you start getting downloads to that song again on iTunes. Oh no, actually, Diddy, you owe us.
because you know he
percentage.
owned everything.
Diddy owns it all, right? So anyway, yeah. So this fool tries to pick up a crowbar.
Yeah. No, he picked up a crowbar.
I mean, he tries to hit. He did pick up a crowbar. He didn't try to pick up a crowbar. He picked up the crowbar and he tries to hit Ralph over the head with the crowbar.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. I mean, dude,
Poor thing, he didn't know any better.
he should have just played it cool. I mean, they would have had to prove
But he did try and play it cool. As soon as
the drill when he asked about the drill bit, the
Yeah,
eighth,
and
the,
as
eight,
soon-
the
The one-
eighth inch drill bit. But
yeah,
dude,
but as
still.
soon as he turns his back, that's what most suckers do. Like as soon as somebody turn their back, they try and go in for the sucker punch.
That's true. But what did he think was gonna? He think he was gonna knock the dude out, and then like, and then go get yeah, your partner. I knocked him out, and yeah, the family's gonna come on with me. We're gonna leave. I mean, what did he think was gonna happen?
He didn't think all the way through.
He wasn't
yeah.
thinking.
No.
He was not only not thinking all the way through. He wasn't thinking at all. Just fool. That's Ralph Lamb. You don't hit Ralph Lamb over the back of the head. Think you're gonna get away with it?
You can't pack you out, Ralph Lamb.
You can't pack you out, Ralph Lamb. In fact, they were laying tussling on the ground, and he got beat up. He took the crowbar and cracked him in the head while they were rolling around the ground.
Yeah.
And he got Pacquiao
He did get packed.
because he was laying. Dixon comes out and is like laughing because it was like one of those funny kind of situations. The guy gets hit by his own crowbar. That was really, yeah.
Sounds
That
like
was
he
a
got
funny
Nancy
situation.
Kerrigan.
Wow.
Wow.
You went back.
But he didn't hit him over the knee though. That was a baseball
It's
bat.
still a pipe.
It was a pipe. Well, yeah, crowbar. Yeah,
crowbar.
yeah. He tried to get him.
It'd be funny if he turned out to be like Brian Boitano or something, and he was like an actual ice skater too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go into news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so Vegas, CBS, doing really well. It's still number one in this time slot, 11 p.m. on.
10 p.m.
I'm sorry, 10 p.m.
We're 11 o'clock, and we are number one in our time slot.
Yeah, we're number one in our time slot, and so is Vegas. Thank you, Vegas, CBS, for giving us this opportunity to be number one. I would like to thank all little people here at AfterBuzz TV that make this show happen for us. Hello. Okay. That was Steve showing me really who the little person is. That would be me. Okay, so news. Do we have any fun facts, Nicholas?
We do.
Nick Perdue. We need a fun fact from you, bruh.
This is interesting, and because going on the strip and talking about in New Orleans as well, down there, the strip is actually not in Las Vegas, but rather on an unincorporated land governed by Clark County. Las Vegas city limits start at Sahara Avenue northward, and so many visitors of Las Vegas have never been to Las Vegas unless they visited the Stratosphere.
Interesting. That's a very interesting tidbit there.
The more you know.
You know what's funny?
I didn't get that.
Let me give you a fun fact. This is a fun fact that I love about Vegas. When you go on navigation and you're navigating to go out to Vegas, the strip, Las Vegas Boulevard, goes all the way down. You know that one hotel that sits all the way down by itself called the M? It's this big black hotel, the M.
Yeah, that's still Las Vegas Boulevard.
Las Vegas Boulevard goes all the way down there where there was nothing. It's like abandoned, and you can see it on your navigation. I'm like, these guys really plan on stretching this thing all the way down here one day. Yeah. I'm serious. I believe they do, because most of that land is empty, and it's probably owned. I don't know if it's all government owned, but I'm sure somebody definitely owns it, because they're going to develop that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, but just to answer your question about, basically what it is that the actual street. So from the Stratosphere probably to, let's say, Luxor. Okay, which is kind of like what you see, on the strip, like that 2.5 miles. It's not technically in Las Vegas because it's not Las Vegas city limits. It's not within Las Vegas city limits.
Gotcha.
Right. So most of
and the Stratosphere, if I recall correctly, because it's been I can't recall the last time I've been, but the Stratosphere is on the far side.
It's north. Yeah,
it's the north,
headed towards Fremont Street, which is downtown Vegas, Old Town Vegas.
Great buffet at the Stratosphere, by the way. If you have not been in,
that's true.
I mean, there's a lot of
It's no Harrah's.
There's a lot of good buffets in Vegas. The Stratosphere was one of the original great buffets, one of the original ones. I know there's some ones that are probably eclipsing that by now, but
is it gluten-free?
Is it gluten-free?
They have a little section. They have a little section of gluten-free products, and it's a pile of cardboard, and you can go and
and chop it up and eat it after you break dance on it.
Chop.
Okay. Chap. Okay, so Vegas. Season 15. Episode 15. Predictions. Let's do it.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so predictions for episode 15 of season 1, CBS's Vegas. There's been a lot of interesting things that have happened in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and for me, it's going to be a little hard to put everything in a nutshell where I think everything might go. So I'm going to start with you guys. Nick Perdue, episode 15, season 1, CBS's Vegas. Go.
Couple things. First thing, I think that Dixon, he's really showing his chops now, and so he will be put into a couple more predicaments to where his father, Ralph, is really going to have to lean on him, and then so he's going to be like, okay, I see that Dixon can hold his own, and he is like a full-fledged deputy and not just my son playing deputy.
Right.
Second thing, I think that Mia will find out who the killer is. And so she will find out that it is her boo-boo. And so that exchange will be very exciting. So I don't know if they'll break up, but I know that there will be a fight. And it will be very volatile. And you may even see that cattle prod come out again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what happens to Boo Boo? It gets flushed down the toilet. So that's probably what she's going to do with him after she finds out that her Boo Boo killed her dad. Okay, so season 1, episode 15 of CBS's Vegas. Bamm, Ericsen, predictions, go.
Jack was in the midst of revealing to his brother Ralph that he murdered Rizzo, or what it appeared until Catherine came and gave the information about the prince.
Over this white truck, and that's something that we failed to mention. There were so many details. It was really hard to get to everything in one session, but there was somebody that drove by, and that was part of this whole situation, this scenario.
It was the boyfriend of the junkie.
The boyfriend of the junkie, and he was supposed to make sure that the junkie got paid, but Rizzo pulled a gun out on him, and he bounced, and when he drove away, he actually saw Jack driving onto the scene.
Yes.
And he identified a white truck, and there's not a whole lot of white trucks. So that's the point where in the office, the sheriff's office, Jack was going to tell Ralph what happened.
Yeah.
and so he was interrupted. So
by the ADA.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just kind of go on the far-fetched side, and I'm gonna say that Dixon is gonna find out about his uncle and the murder.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, my prediction for
Predictions, Thaddeus.
my prediction.
Go.
Thaddeus, go. My prediction is that Jack is gonna entangle himself even further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hole is going to get even dug deeper. This guy is actually, pulling shenanigans with the fingerprints, going to the FBI, trying to convince the ADA we don't need the FBI, sabotaging the water cooler so he can switch prints out. I mean, he's doing all kind of like just, he's shenanigans. He's just.
But at that point, at least he was thinking. He started planning ahead rather than just. He knew that he was already entangled in a lie. I thought it was cool for him to sabotage the water cooler, so he knew that
Give him a little time.
That the I guess is he a deputy at the count?
Yeah.
Deputy goes and fixes the water. He can make the switcheroo. So he's starting to think about how he's going to manipulate this situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I believe he's gonna dig so far deep that it's gonna affect his relationship with Mia even further, and gonna have more. It's gonna the actions is gonna be such that she feels like she can't trust him about anything, as opposed to this one isolated event, because the lies are gonna continue, and he's gonna keep doing things to circumvent this case being solved. I believe that Mia is gonna be the one to find out
First.
But, yes, and I believe she's gonna find out from the Savino side. I think they're gonna slip up because. Remember, they're just as much to blame as Jack. Jack is really not to blame. He was really defending himself. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Where can we find you guys?
Find me all over the internet at the Nick Perdue.
And you can find me, Bamm Ericsen, BAMMERICSEN, at Instagram and Twitter.
And I'm Thaddeus Massey, and you can find me on Twitter at Club Thaddeus, CLUBTHADDEUS. And you can also see me here on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. for NBC's Deception with Bamm Ericsen. Until next time, guys.
But I'm early.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later. Now you can do it.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.